listening to KSCO, serving Moss Landing, Marina, and Piscines.
It's 15 minutes past the hour of 8 a.m. In the studio with me this morning is San Lorenzo Valley resident Rick Moran. Rick was formerly on the Environmental Committee of the San Lorenzo Valley Water Department's board. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Rosemary.
It was, yeah, but you were on the Environmental Committee, not on their board.
Exactly.
And you're not anymore.
No, it's a yearly commitment, and I did it for 2 years. That's enough. It's been very frustrating, and I choose to work in other fields.
You volunteered for that position?
Yes, I did.
As somebody who's in the community, and I know that you keep a close eye on what's going on within the water department, and you have before and will continue to do so.
Yes, I've lived there for 35 years, and I know people in the water district. I know a lot of the field staff, and I keep up with what's going on. And in 2014, they had a grand jury report that was really critical of them, and I wanted to help restore some trust that they were lacking.
And yes, and they are lacking trust. So tell us about this meeting that you were at recently. It was just
last week. It was last Thursday.
And it was a standard board meeting?
Regular board meeting, yes. And they have oral communications in the beginning of it. And I took an opportunity to speak for 3 minutes and tell them how I felt about what went on in the 2 years that I had been on that environmental committee. And I wasn't happy about it, and I had held my tongue for a little bit in order to, think I could work with them, but I could no longer do that. So I told them, as I said, to set the record straight. Good.
Well, you probably felt better yourself after setting the record straight.
It's good to clear your head about things like that, yeah.
It is. Now, I think one of the things that got under your skin, excuse the pun, is Roundup. Was the use of Roundup?
Yes, the use of Roundup. That's basically where we came into conflict. Up until then, we were working fine together. Everybody was, copacetic with stuff. And then when I disagreed with them about the use of Roundup and glyphosate on the Olympia watershed, things changed. And they wanted someone that seemingly agreed with them about stuff. And if someone disagreed with them, they were dismissive about anything that I had to report about, whether it was the World Health Organization's different categorization of glyphosate as a probable carcinogen. They always seemed to say that my criticisms were emotional, and they were just dismissive, and it became really, really frustrating. No matter who talked about it, and whether it was doctors, lawyers, politicians, always any criticism was labeled as emotional.
Am I correct? I think it was you, Ricardo, but I'm not 100% sure, that you said, or somebody said, why is it that we have to pay all of this money for somebody to apply glyphosate to get rid of the broom, the Scotch broom, which is the main problem in the Olympia watershed? Why don't we just let it do its thing and move along and deal with the infrastructure? And instead of spending money doing that, spend the money on what we need to do, which is repair the leaking, aging infrastructure. Was that you?
Yes, it was.
It was you.
And I think what's happened here, not just with the San Lorenzo Valley, but a lot of agencies have this notion called creeping mission, and or mission creep. And they want to not just deal with water issues, then it becomes land issues, and then they're trying to do educational grants, and then they're trying to do, supporting the library. All meaningful, good things to do, but it's not the primary job of the water district. And they need to get back to fixing leaks, serving customers, and not so much worrying about plants that are growing in a watershed when using poisons to trying to eradicate them.
Sure, because that's a big area too. That watershed up there, it's a huge area. I know it well.
Yes, and it's a beautiful place, and it has environmental quality issues and stuff like that. But that's not the primary issue of the San Lorenzo Water District.
No, I understand that when you gave your speech after you'd finished your 3 minutes, that nobody said thank you.
There was one woman. I can't remember her
Was
name.
a member of the board?
No.
No. Well, why would the board say thank you to you for 2 years of free service to help them? Why would they do that?
Personal skills are not their strong point, I don't think.
That's the understatement of the week.
Yes.
Do you feel now that you will now just continue to attend meetings, or just because of their dismissive ways with you? And we're speaking with Rick Moran, former member of the Environmental Committee for the San Lorenzo Valley Water District. Do you feel that it's kind of soured you on them, or did you end up coming away with what you'd seen all along just as a member of the public?
Well, I don't really want to go back to board meetings, but if there's a specific issue that I feel I can have some input in, I may. It's not my choice at this point, but to tell you the truth, Rosie, what I'm working on now is pesticide-free neighborhoods. I have a large neighborhood, a lot of people who grow stuff, and I think not only me, but other people are more concerned with a neighborhood approach to ridding ourselves of overuse of pesticides. And government agencies can do what they do, and we can try to influence them, but I feel more comfortable at the most local of levels, and that's my neighborhood.
Sure, and I know that you and your wife, Chris, are avid gardeners and have a beautiful garden.
Yeah, and we're an example of pesticide-free growing in our yard, in our neighborhood, and people recognize that, and it's a topic of discussion for people who walk by, and we're glad, and we want to encourage other people in the neighborhood to do that as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you're in Ben Lomond. I know it's sort of more towards the Brookdale side than I am in the middle of town, but I agree with you on that for sure. Do you feel that the water board, by being dismissive of people such as yourself and perhaps others, that they do a disservice to our community, or do they do a disservice to themselves?
Well, they definitely do a disservice to the community. You know, they constantly talk about getting community involvement and being responsive to the community. That's some nice talking points. But their behavior is dismissive is one word for it. I mean, they attack people. They attacked me. Margaret Bruce, a board member, attacked me, questioning my trust, questioning, just going off on me. And that's not a good example of how to encourage people to participate in local government.
No, I agree. Now, we've got an election coming up this year. Am I right at the end of the year?
Yes, there is, yes.
Are you going to run?
No, Margaret,
run, Rick,
Rosemary, I have enough trouble sitting down for dinner. Never mind sitting in for 3 or 4 hours, which is, that's another part of this asking people to participate. If you're creating an environment where it's strenuous to sit through these things, it's just not conducive to, participatory democracy.
For the people that go to the meetings, and invariably they're too late for me, I just can't, but I hear about them from locals, I hear about them from the Watchdogs. Do you find that the folks at the meetings is it split 50-50, in fact, that those that feel that they're doing a good job and others who feel that they're not? Or what sort of percentages would you say of attendees think that they're doing a good job for our community?
Well, I've heard both sides, okay, and I think one of the things that encourages me is that there are some very dedicated people who are keeping a close eye on their finances, on how they've managed this merger with the Zianti Water District, and there's good people that are keeping them on task, and it's difficult to do, but there's people there doing that. And, there's people who praise them as well. here's a pet peeve of mine, is they can bring out these people that praise them, and there are also people that get grants from them, educational grants, and, then they can cite a letter how this person says how thankful they are for the San Lorenzo Water District. Well, if you just got, over the course of a few years, $6,000 or $7,000 in grants, I'd praise them too.
Yeah, the good point. And the attorneys are praising them as well, I'm sure. I'm just guessing on that. That's me extrapolating from this discussion. Well, I'm sorry that you won't be staying on the committee, but I know that you'll continue to watch out for our community interests with the water department. And it's just interesting to see how somebody who wants to spend their time gets treated.
It's in my case, it was unfortunate, but I've made a great many new friends that I didn't know beforehand through this. I've gotten a lot of community support for the position I've taken, and I'm walking away with my head held high and happy that I did it.
Good. Well, I appreciate you coming in this morning. Thanks so much.
You're welcome, Rosemary.
And that is Rick Moran. He is a Ben Lomond resident. And if you ever drive past his house and you see this incredible array of fantastic irises, you'll know it was his house. It is